Well, with trade week over, what the hell are we going to talk about? Welcome to the Titus and Sergio Variety Hour podcast. I'm Sergio Paradise, and here he is, next year's star of The Bachelor, Titus O'Reilly.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, how would you go? Hand out roses.
I'd like to see a Bachelor where the person on it is sort of doing it against their will.
Yeah.
Because the problem is they're also
keen. And want the exposure. And
I don't like keen people.
No, or exposure. or attractive women throwing themselves at you.
Oh, no,
everything about that's just
exhausting.
Foreign to you and your life, isn't it?
We should kick off by mentioning we had a few people point out last week we had a problem with our sound.
Our sound engineer was drunk. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't that drunk. But no, it sounded all right when we played it back on this, but then we found out later there was a chord missing or something.
Yeah, it sounded pretty crappy.
So we'd like to blame someone. Who should we blame?
Well, our fictitious sound engineer, or let's blame the NBN.
Yeah, it was the NBN.
It was the NBN.
It's as good as anything.
It's a disaster.
So sorry for those of you, and thanks to those that actually stuck with listening to it.
And thanks for those who did point out that it did sound ordinary, and as someone else pointed out, gee, people cut up rough if something free is not quite right up to its normal standards.
Well, no, it's not free for everyone because thankfully our supporters donate to this and keep this podcast running. They're the reason that we don't have to go behind paywalls or anything silly like that. So if you're a free rider off the back of them, think about becoming a supporter and helping us continue to come up with this nonsense. Titus O'Reilly.com, and there's a supporter section there that you can go in and check that. I've mentioned before I'm doing the Sports Writers Festival Sunday, October 29th at 12 p.m. Next Sunday. So that should be good. It's in Melbourne, so I'll put a link again in the show notes if people are interested in coming along. And my book should start turning up. It's officially out October 30.
What's that, next Monday?
I think it's a thoroughly unhelpful history of Australian sport, but I've been told that the way that rolls out is some will start appearing Wednesday in some stores.
So is that like a soft launch?
Well, apparently, if anyone is interested, which probably most people aren't, when they say, with bookstores, it's in store on the 30th, they send it to them a bit early. And not everyone gets to it and puts it out straight away. Okay. So the official launch date's when they sort of announce it is when it will actually be on the actual shelves in every store it's going to be in. So if you don't want to leave the house, and I understand that completely, you can buy it at TitusO'Reilly.com too, and you'll get it signed and everything. And
I should point out I've now read about a third of the book.
A whole third?
Yeah, a whole third. I may well get through the other 2/3. And mine's unsigned, which makes it more valuable.
Yeah, a lot more. I haven't read it yet, but the work experience kids seemed like they were doing a really good job on it. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Doing a terrific job.
Trade period, it was a bit crazy in the last few days.
I mean, it always is. I mean, like this time last week, there was a couple of deals that had gone through, Jake Lever and that was about it, and Jack Watts and Rockcliffe. But then there's always like the big mad panic on the last day when about 20 deals get done.
It was amazing. Some of the ones that happened, we knew about Lever to Melbourne, and we can talk about that. Gibbs to Crows was another one. Luke Hodge we knew, but ended up at the Lions. And
we knew he was going.
Did you find it jarring when he posted him in the Lions jumper?
I did. Like, I don't really care about the Lions or Hawthorn, but it's just you see some guys change clubs and it just looks wrong. It was like when Luke Ball went to Collingwood was just as bad because he should be in a St Kilda jumper. Yeah. And it'd be like Nick Rewald, if he ever changed clubs.
How did you feel when you saw Colin Sylvia in a Peel Thunder top?
I thought that looked terrific.
He thought he'd found his home.
It was like Jordan Lewis in a Melbourne jumper, just perfect.
Some of the others, Stringer did manage to get to Essendon.
Yes.
I'd love to know the truth of that because the way the media are reporting it is Essendon, they basically offered, I think it was pick 12 for Stringer and a couple others. Yeah. The Bulldogs said no and then ended up jettisoning him for pick 20 or something shocking. So it didn't seem to go well.
No, it's happened with a few of the trades last week in that, we're not we're not selling him for that. And then at the last minute they go, yeah, all right, we'll take it,
Yeah.
It's just,
not exactly.
claims.
Stringer, everyone was saying Essendon. So there was a few interesting things I found about all this. Gary Ablett obviously got back to Geelong. Power got Jack Watts, Rockcliffe and Motlop.
Yeah.
What I found really interesting about this is the big winners apparently were Essendon and Port. Everyone was going on about it. And I looked at Port and Tom Rockcliffe I actually think is a decent addition.
He's a really good player.
Port are already inconsistent. And you can argue can be a bit soft and can go missing.
Yeah.
Are Jack Watts and Stephen Motlop the ideal pickup to address that?
That's a fair point.
Everyone was saying it was amazing, and I was kind of looking at it going, I watch a lot of Jack Watts, and he's definitely got the ability to turn it on when he occasionally
has the ability to go missing.
Completely missing.
And Motlop's a bit the same. Motlop's one of these players who'll kick 4 goals in a quarter and not get a touch for the other 3.
Yeah, but he'll only do that once every few rounds. Like, it's not like he's doing that on a... So, in a team that's pretty inconsistent...
Pretty flaky
I'm not sure this adds to their consistency.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. I mean, everyone said they're the 2 big winners, Essendon and Port.
Yeah, and then
it's mainly because they're the only ones who brought in more than one player.
The other thing I think is you look at Adelaide got Gibbs, and then, Melbourne got Lever. So, but... Crows also lost Cameron as well. So I thought the Crows did as well as they could. But if they hadn't gotten Gibbs, they would have gone backwards, So it wasn't a terrific thing. I thought Gary Ablett going to Geelong, and I know there's the things with Gary Ablett's sister's death around the tragedy surrounding that, but I said this before that Gary Ablett is not a sure thing with his injuries. I mean, he's barely played in much over the last few years. I mean,
do you reckon they're not expecting to get 22 games out of him?
Well, that's what I wonder. But once again, it's so I found a lot of it. What will be interesting with Gary Ablett next year is that his last year or two at Gold Coast, he seemed to be out injured. He'd break a fingernail and be out for 3 weeks. It'll be interesting to see if how much he was calling in sick because he just didn't want to play anymore.
He might just be fine at Geelong now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So that's all kind of interesting. And then I thought Essendon, they got Stringer. Stringer, you got a big question mark over.
There was a great picture someone put on Twitter of, one of those airport trolleys, put your luggage on.
Yeah.
It was piled ceiling high with about 50 different suitcases, and it says, Stringer's baggage arrives in.
The package does bring a lot of baggage with him. So that was kind of interesting. We had a heap of questions coming out of this. I should add also, the Gold Coast getting Lachie Weller but giving up pick 2.
Pick 2.
I just was like, really?
Is Lachie Weller that good a player?
No, he didn't even finish. He played most games this year and he didn't finish. I think he finished quite low in the Freo Best and Fair.
His brother, Maverick, who's now at St Kilda, he was delisted by Gold Coast and St Kilda threw him a lifeline. He's actually turned out all right at St Kilda.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying he might not be. He's a terrible player or anything, but pick 2's a big thing.
He's got a bit of toe, but pick 2's
What I found interesting too is how quickly Gold Coast seemed to just... We were making a joke about how it was an ambit claim.
Yeah.
And to me, it was a bit like someone says, you hear someone fancies you, got a crush on you, so you walk up to them and propose straight off the bat.
What?
It's like overs. It's like, really? You didn't need to go that hard. General Alcazar wrote in.
General Alcazar.
Despite having plenty of time, I tend to leave everything to the last minute. Should I be an AFL list manager?
Oh, yeah. Or you've obviously spent many years at university too, General, because I think we can all relate to that.
Well, everyone says, well, how can you avoid that? But surely, what slows down a lot of it is people are waiting for other bits to fall into piece. It's not like you're solely in control of the outcome. You're waiting in other clubs to get their stuff sorted.
And when people say, oh, look, it goes for too long, they should do it all in 2 days.
Yeah.
Well, apart from that relevant point you bring up, it takes away some of the theatre of it if they just do it all properly in a day or 2.
Yeah.
And it gives D-list media hacks a job for 10 days too. Just commentating.
And hello to Terry Wallace if you're listening.
Yeah, g'day, list manager.
How many people were they saying? People who would write things like, I saw you got in an argument with someone, I can't remember who, where they were saying, Jesse Hogan's certainty to go to...
Oh, that was...
Or not certainty, they said they're in discussions. And
look
at Jesse Hogan and Freo are chatting.
That was is it Tom Sheehan?
Oh, right, yeah, Tony Sheehan.
Tony Sheehan. He went early with...
A few went early with those ones.
Hogan to Freo. They've been talking about it. And then when Melbourne came out and said, no, you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, when clubs make statements like that, you take them with a grain of salt, generally at the best of times. But then they kept going. No, don't worry, there's talk.
Yeah.
Hogan's going to Freo, and he was never, ever going to Freo.
Nah.
He might next year, but he didn't this year.
The Wasman wrote in, has the AFL already engraved Essendon Bombers on the Premiership Cup, or will they hold off until the draft to crown 2018 premiers?
Was actually is on the money here, because, I mean, the point he's making, I think, is, gee, hasn't everybody suddenly jumped on Essendon as that they are going to take the big leap? I mean, they did well to sneak into the 8 this year, but they didn't cause anybody too many dramas when they got there. But their pickups, Stringer and whoever else they got. Who else did
they also had? I was just looking at all this morning. They got from GWS.
Yeah.
Essendon's one. They got from GWS off the... I just want to get this right. Well, they got Adam Sard and they got Devon Smith.
Yeah.
And I think they did well. Like, it was all fine. But they also gave away any draft picks. Yeah. They don't have a lot of draft picks in the future.
Yeah,
so
their best one.
It was okay. Like, I think they did fine, but I mean, there's a few punts in that. It's not all
There's always punts in these trades.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, Jake Stringer's the big one. I mean, if he is really good for them.
If he fires, they could take him to another level. Him
and Danaher up forward.
Yeah.
It's good.
And if you've got Devon Smith and your McDonald Tippenwoody, I mean, you've got some dead set pace in that forward line.
I mean, I think they've done well, but the idea that it's just an instant...
Yeah, that people are already, handing them the cup.
Paddy wrote in, Collingwood was essentially a no-show this trade period. As a Pies fan, is this our best trade period in years? Main, White and other nightmares I try and block out. And this was my point about this. Collingwood doing very little. It's a bit like the same, staying out of trade period was probably their best strategy. It's a bit like the same reason you get your kids to stay out of the knife drawer. They just end up hurting themselves. Yeah. And Collingwood, I was like, it's like jazz, it's the trades you don't make.
Yeah. I mean, who have they got? Who have they done well with Collingwood? I guess Treloar.
Yeah, Treloar's the one that you would say is. But I mean, Maine was just a Maine was a train wreck.
Yeah,
I mean that Jesse White, you could argue, was worth the punt. They needed. He's a big-bodied forward. He wasn't that good. They knew what they were sort of getting. It was, and they hoped it might work out. It went fine without being, it wasn't great, right? But Maine was just like they paid massive overs. It was how much they paid.
And the other thing with Collingwood not getting really involved with the trades, the one thing I like about that is it seems to imply that they reckon they're almost just about there anyway.
But
they're fine. We'll be fine. We finished off the season
pretty well. But do you reckon they've
just
got salary cap issues?
Yeah, it could well be that. But also I reckon they think they're on the right track.
But they paid Wells a fair bit. They paid Maine a fair bit.
Yeah.
So they've got a few things.
And Grundy they just gave a new contract to, and he wouldn't have been. Ruckman aren't cheap because they're hard to get.
Bud Blackwood wrote in, is Jake the dodgiest package to turn up at Essendon since the Herd Dank era? And will Essendon lose all records of him being there?
I like the second part of that. Yeah. Oh, Bud. Yeah. As I say, I mean, he certainly is the package with baggage. There's no question of that. Whether he turns it on the field remains to be seen, but he's certainly a risk. He's certainly a risk.
Digital Watch wrote in, will Jack Watt's urgency under pressure improve after getting carjacked in Alberton?
That's giving Jack Watts a good whack.
And Alberton.
And Alberton. Everyone.
We do give lots of points to questions that whack multiple targets.
Double whacks are pretty good.
But that is the question mark about the Port Adelaide's recruitment.
Oh, of course it is. I mean,
it's not exactly a bunch of hard nuts they've brought in. I mean, Rockcliffe, yes.
Yeah, Rockcliffe's hard as a cat's head. But yeah, with Jack Watts, I mean, and there was a fair bit of angst amongst Melbourne supporters last week, you've got to say, when the deal actually went through. I mean, there was...
I just don't get this. Like, as a Melbourne supporter, and I'm not doing... because I said this before, like I've said this for years, right? So this isn't a new position of mine just because Jack Watts got traded, right? Jack, the idea that people are devastated Jack's leaving, I just can't get my head around because he's been inconsistent at best with flashes of the ability that's elusive and annoying.
Yeah.
He doesn't do the hard stuff. He turned up the pre-season not in full shape. He hasn't followed what Goodwin wanted him to do. Yeah. He's not an essential component of us winning, and people are acting like it's like if David Neitz had left or David Schwartz at his peak had left. People are acting like we've given away this key
the
heart
and soul of the club. You know,
I think it's because he's a
bloke thing.
I think where I can understand people feel like Jack got treated very poorly at the start from Melbourne, got thrown in when he shouldn't have, and battled a lot of negativity, you know, and seemed to do it with a lot of grace and a lot of. So I don't hate the guy or wish him ill will or all that, but I don't get the footballing response because we're not a collect. You know, if Melbourne are ever going to win anything, you can't have that. Well, he's not fitting into our game plan, but. Boy's a nice guy.
He's a good kid, isn't he? Yeah,
and he's from Brighton Grammar.
You know about things.
Good breeding.
He never says no to a kid who wants an autograph. Well, they're the sort of blokes you want around the club.
And it just isn't. So I just don't get the reaction.
No. I was talking to somebody involved at the club on the weekend, and this has been on the cards for 2 or 3 years. Jack had been given the stern talking to. Firstly by Ruse, and then by Goodwin, and they've had enough. Mate,
I know. So the idea this was some shock too. Yeah. Anyway, that was just always. I was surprised about that. Rhombus Isotope wrote in: if Gary Ablett is worth 5,000 extra members and 2 goals a game, does that make him the equivalent of a new stand? Pretty much.
Bit of lateral thinking there from Rhombus. Actually, I got a question last night from someone saying, "Which question are you going to read out this week?" And not acknowledge who asked it. And I thought, probably that one.
Have we been doing that? We usually acknowledge them.
Yeah,
and we always, if I ever say something that I saw on Twitter first, I always say, if I can't remember who it was, I'll at least say,
I saw it on Twitter.
I saw it on Twitter. I don't, you know. Daniel Patterson wrote, after having to give up pick 2 for Lockie Weller, should the Gold Coast list management team write a sequel to Donald Trump's book, The Art of the Deal? They did give pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They're so desperate to have a player want to come to them.
Oh, exactly. And he was not a want away, he was a come home.
Yeah. And they were like, we got to get him.
I'll tell you, they do write a new book, it'll be in the fiction.
I suppose if you're... if you know you draft someone they're likely to want to leave in a few years, might as well get the person that wants to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they looked at it like that. Tyler Hayes said, now that the trade period is over, what can the AFL do to combat the unemployment rate of graphic designers now they can't Photoshop players into their new Guernseys?
There's a fair bit of that work goes on, doesn't it?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
And even the ones that haven't been Photoshopped, but you can tell that the players have taken the photo before they go to Vegas, assuming that they're going to be, traded to this team. Jake Lever actually took a Melbourne jumper with him in his baggage and photographed himself in Croatia wearing his new Melbourne jumper. Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
On Instagram, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's pretty
good. What did he pay for that jumper?
He just writes it off.
Yeah, of course.
Tex Walker was an interesting one in trade period. We all remember he went off tap about Lever leaving.
Wasn't happy with Lever.
Did we get enough Lever leaving?
Yeah, we did.
Puns? We did. All right, we're done on that. But then when Bryce Gibbs decided to head home to Adelaide, he said that wasn't. He came out and actually responded to things. One, Walker was critical of Lever for leaving Adelaide for Melbourne, calling Lever's decision to return home one of money over success. Jimmy Bartell came out and said, you haven't had success. There's no guarantees you will.
Yeah, good on you, Jim. Right.
Gibbs, though, when he moved back the other way, Walker had been accused by quite a few people of double standards because, that's the thing about this.
Yeah.
You can be a winner or a loser in this. It's, and Walker's come out to qualify why he's not a hypocrite around these things. He said, my response is that Bryce Gibbs has come back to Adelaide and he's taken a pay cut to come back and spend time with his family. he's taken a pay cut, so that's pretty simple.
Right.
So, but I thought it was about loyalty, and like you could argue that Carlton has been there forever, and loyalty to one club and all that stuff. That's not to do with money.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole thing. Adelaide. When Lever wants to come home for his family, Adelaide, you're disloyal. And then when Bryce Gibbs wants to come back to Adelaide go, oh, family's everything. Family's
family, you got to put family first.
Yeah, of course you do.
We're all hypocrites. It's just you try and not be too obvious about it.
Exactly.
Well, that was Walker's mistake. He's too obvious about it. One thing that you caught your eye.
Yes.
St. Kevin's, which is a private school in Melbourne.
Yes.
We should add for those who are listening interstate and who don't follow the intricacies of Melbourne
of the APS,
of private school football.
Public schools, yeah.
They were having it says here it's an elite Melbourne high school here in this thing I've
elite
grabbed.
Melbourne College, I would argue, because I went to one of these APS schools, and we always used to refer to St. Kevin's as those dirty Catholics.
Right.
Which obviously you wouldn't say that today.
Yeah,
but back just after the war, anything goes,
After the war. A bit of sectarian abuse never goes astray. So St. Kevin's were having their inter-school athletic competition.
No, it wasn't St. Kevin's. This was the whole APS.
Oh, right, which is the public schools.
Yeah,
Associated Public Schools.
Melbourne Grammar and
all the high top private
Scotch
schools.
and Xavier and Haileybury and...
So it was one, and St. Kevin's, the boys won their athletics final. It was at the Lakeside Stadium.
Yep.
And when they won, some of the St. Kevin's students lit flares in the thing. It says here, and I kind of like the reporting on this. I think this was from the Herald Sun. Witnesses said the St. Kevin's College boys were celebrating a title victory when they lit flares. Photos appear to show thick orange smoke billowing from the areas a mass of St. Kevin's students were celebrating in. The antics were described by one person as disgusting.
There you go.
Another student from a rival college said they reclaimed the title. It was classic celebrating, but then a couple of boys took it too far and set the flare off in their grandstand. Smoke was carrying off outside. It ruined the whole day.
The whole day?
The whole day was ruined because a flare went off.
Well, the whole day be ruined by the fact that St. Kevin's won the athletics.
Yeah.
For 9 other
this
schools.
Student said, our school teachers tried to move us out as quickly and quietly as possible.
So the good thing about this, as you've pointed out on numerous occasions, when flares are lit off at A-League matches, it purely shows that, soccer fans are concerned about marine safety.
That's right. They're just doing a demonstration.
The good thing is about the St. Kevin's kids, they just probably took the flare from Dad's boat. They just
down at Portsea.
Brought it from home.
What I've got to say about this athletics carnival and the APSs having flares there is, what is David Gallop and the A-League doing about this to stamp this out? Is this a further example, Serge, of soccer's insidious reach into our society?
I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're right. David Gallop's been... he's got his hands full at the moment trying to keep Ange Postecoglou from going to China.
He's a bit worried about everyone dying in Honduras, the murder capital of the world. But, where are the A-League on this? Obviously their fault.
They've been conspicuously quiet about this whole flare thing.
It's so good. It didn't get quite the reaction that if soccer fans had done it.
No.
When soccer fans do it, they're basically written like...
It's page 1 of the Herald Sun.
Yeah, but also what I love is if you changed, soccer hooligans and you just did a find replace and replace with terrorists, it would read almost exactly the same. That's how it's sort of written up like it was an ISIS attack.
With private schoolboys running amok isn't quite the same.
Well, they were all from good families. Yes. So now here's a story I found.
Yeah, and I'm not across this one. You're gonna have to spell.
Well, when I saw it, I thought I've got to tell you this story. And this was last week, but I saw it last week, and I'd been meaning to do it. So there's a bit of a history up on the sort of the New South Wales coast, Central Coast, where in an A-League games with Newcastle Jets and the Central Coast Mariners,
which is
a local derby they have up there, that the Master Foods have two mascots, a tomato sauce Master Foods bottle and a barbecue sauce bottle.
So this is a bloke or two blokes dressed as sauce bottles.
Sauce bottles, right?
Right.
A part of the entertainment of the crowd.
Who do they... Are they from the Mariners?
They're from the Central Coast Mariners. I think they got a sponsorship arrangement, right?
Yeah, you'd think.
So they were both on the sidelines, and Central Coast Mariners, who they represent as part of this sponsorship deal, were losing 5-1.
Oh,
so it wasn't
good night out.
So the Newcastle Jets supporters start chanting at these two sauce bottle mascots, "Who are you? Who are you?" over and over again. So the Newcastle Jets fans,
most witty response.
The Newcastle Jets fans are harassing.
There
and taunting
two blokes in sauce
bottles representing the Mariners.
Sauce bottles going, I didn't sign up for this. Jesus.
So anyway, there's a Facebook video uploaded
hot,
where
I'm sweaty, and I've got people yelling out, "Who are you?"
Yeah, so I do like the idea of abusing sponsors. Or
mascots in general.
Yeah, but sponsors mascots,
that's even better.
That's who you single out. Anyway, in a response, in the video has been get up, the tomato sauce bottle, Serge, reacted with nothing but professionalism.
Oh, as you would expect.
The barbecue sauce, though,
always
a bit of a looser unit.
The barbecue sauce.
The barbecue sauce. Yeah. He wasn't having any of this. And he stuck up both his the one finger salute, but both hands though.
Right.
And so it's captured on video. He had his hands out of the bottle. They have hands and legs, of course.
Right. They weren't just two big plastic bottles.
They don't roll around.
And that'd be pretty sad if the Mariners fans were just chanting at actual bottles.
Yeah, that's right. So he gave them the finger in response, and that got put up on Facebook.
Yeah, of course it did.
So anyway, on Facebook, several comments. I'm going to read you some of them that got put up. It says, one person wrote in response to this video, "I don't know what's worse, the sauce bottle giving the finger or Jets fans chanting, 'Who are you?' to a sauce bottle." But another one wrote, "Who said that there's no culture in the A-League?" Another one said, "This just proves that Mariners v Jets is the greatest derby in Australian sporting history." And they're not wrong there.
Can we get giant sauce bottles at the APS Athletics
next
year?
Yeah, that's right.
For St. Kevin's?
I'm suddenly really into this. This is actually, I actually think this is good. Now, the best thing about this is Master Foods, they send a spokeswoman out to respond to this.
Of course they did.
So, and they played it all right, I think, Master Foods, but I would have just gone with it and said, that's the character of our zesty barbecue sauce. It's always surprising.
You want the conservative, you stick with the
tomato. You want a sauce that's not going to give you the middle finger? Go.
just stick with it.
So they came out and said, the mascot's behaviour is not reflective of the sauce's brand values.
Right.
So giving the finger is not part of the Master Foods brand, apparently.
Right.
I don't know many brands that would say it was.
Yeah, especially with,
when it comes to condiments.
Yeah.
Maybe some of those really hot sauces.
Yeah, you stick and hot chili sauce, perhaps. But maybe not just
that they said, "Oh, no, hot sauces, it gives you the finger."
Oh, yeah. It'll give you more than the finger.
Give you the runs.
You start yelling it in.
Yeah, he would have, the hot chili bottle would have thrown a flare back into the crowd.
Do you reckon the bloke in the barbecue sauce bottle outfit has been called in by Master Foods?
He'd been let go.
Yeah. Much
like you from the Details podcast.
Yeah.
It's a similar story, actually.
It is a similar story. Stupid.
So this is the comment that this Master Food spokeswoman said, which I love this. It's sort of corporate speak with, the best bit is when something stupid like this, nonsensical, like absolute nonsense happens, but the spokesperson has to kind of work in a brand message into the response and kind of respond to it, but also they try and put a spin on it that makes it sound like weird. So listen, might go to the Hall of Fame of that sort of type of genre. So she said, while the sauce bottle mascots are synonymous with A-League games hosted on the New South Wales Central Coast, the behaviour of the barbecue sauce bottle is not reflective of the family-friendly Master Foods way.
Well, there you go. See, they just haven't thought this through, and they've hired the barbecue sauce. They should have known if one of them was going to go rogue, it was the barbecue sauce bottle.
It's just I just love that they become synonymous, like it's a huge thing. Like people go, why are you heading off to the A-League today? Oh, they'll have 2 bottles of sauces.
Prancing up down the what about? Are they going to bring in the big yellow mustard bottle?
Yeah, where's that?
Yeah, where's the mustard?
Well, you should see what he'd do.
Yeah, they've still got him under lock and key.
The sweet chili one's
the mustard bottle
sweet chili one's not allowed to go because it's racist. That would be the best if Master Foods, if they're smart, this is some unsolicited marketing advice. They should have all the bottles, like you're saying, and they should give them all like slightly aggressive. Like tomato sauce can be the good one.
Yeah.
Barbecue sauce tends to react, has anger issues, managing things. Someone else is a racist. someone else like pinches cars or something. Like they all need to have the kind of. It makes it more human.
Yeah. And your tequila sauce is the sexist one.
One needs to be the drunk.
Yeah.
He's always sauced.
the one that I don't know. It'll be a variation of the barbecue sauce. The drunk one should be the one, the sauce that you're most likely to put onto a kebab at 3 a.m. whichever sauce that is, that can be the drunk.
So anyway, I thought that was I just love that story.
I'm going to be watching this derby from now on.
I'm going to be tuning in.
I'm going to be watching.
I hope they don't shut it down.
Yeah, let's hope that
they say they're family friendly, but you tell me, how much would your kids have enjoyed seeing that?
Oh, exactly.
They'd be talking about it for years.
Kids up on the Central Coast, they'll be shattered if they get rid of the sauce bottle.
Now, going from something that's a feel-good story to a negative story, AFLX looks like it's actually going to happen. This is like... Every now and then when I think AFL actually, as much as we bag them, it's like that quote, democracy is the worst sort of government except for every other type.
Yes.
Except for all the others. And I think that with the AFL, they're the worst sporting organisation in Australia except for all the others.
Compared to every other one.
Yeah, because the others are all terrible. Yeah. But then I think, no, the AFL actually do a pretty good job. They sign big deals. The stadiums are pretty well,
generally speaking,
it actually is pretty well run.
Yeah.
And then they do this, AFLX, and I just think no one is asking for this.
We thought this was just a stupid thought bubble.
It was a stupid bubble. It's a stupid...
And we thought it had gone out the door with Simon Lethley.
That's right.
He took that and he's,
Yeah.
But
they brought it back and they actually had new legal football operations boss Steve Hocking, who's replaced Simon Lethley.
Yes.
He says that it's going to be they're going to shake up the pre-season.
They'd shake up the pre-season last year.
They do it all the time. The JLT community competition is going to be shortened.
If that's possible.
It's not even a competition anymore because there's no tournament.
It's just practice matches,
which I'm fine with. Like, have a bunch of that's all pre-season is the point of pre-season.
Yeah, it's practice matches. But
it's just practice. The season's too long anyway.
Don't call it a competition and throw a sponsor into the mix.
They're the AFL Women's is going to be given greater prominence as part of the because it runs around that time, and that makes sense because people like it. It's good to watch, and it is much better than AFLX. But then they're also going to launch AFLX around that time.
And remind us all again, what is AFLX? Is 7 players on a
rectangular soccer field?
On a soccer field.
And there's no bouncers. If you kick a goal, it's still a kick in and things like that. And the idea is trying to invent a game that can be played where places like China, where there's not ovals, and
America where they have rectangular fields.
They want to play it where people won't care about it and will never play it. So it's a terrific idea, naturally. And can you imagine? So they're going to do. Let me finish what they've said, and then we'll really stick the boot in. So they're expected that they're going to do they're going to launch this, and they're thinking of running it all on. They're going to have the less games in the preseason reduced from 3 to 2 for the men's preseason. Then they're going to have the women's appear a bit earlier. They're going to have that, and then the AFLX is still sort of forming when it's going to run, but they kind of want to do it over a weekend or something like that. But and they think it will help with as part of preseason, right? They think it's like part of, help with the training and that. But can you imagine if anyone's half decent player, let alone a star, gets injured playing AFLX and misses a season or...
There is not a hope in hell that any of the sides will put up a decent...
What if they have to? What if they're just told they expect it to?
Oh, everyone...
They'll do what they always do, and that's fake. Everyone suddenly got knee soreness.
Everyone on Thursday night
and exhaustion.
General soreness or a hammy twinge.
Because you kind of know, like, pre-season's bad enough if someone's getting injured in a practice match, but you kind of know you can't avoid
a couple of footy that's going to happen.
Yeah. But something that's so...
stupid. It is. I mean, I know they've tested this, not behind closed doors, but on.
They've done some games with some VFL teams playing it.
And do we know, does it actually work? Is it any good?
Oh, we don't know that. They say it is, but I mean, what else? They're going to say it's terrible, but we're still doing it.
Players of AFL skill level, it will be probably a fast-moving, vaguely entertaining thing, but people aren't going to care about it.
I don't know I just don't get the point of it. Like, no. I know what they sort of say it's for.
Yeah.
And, it must be they think it will boost participation or something.
So what are they going to get the Irishmen to now take up AFLX to stop playing Gaelic football?
No, because they want to have their junkets still.
Oh, of course they do. Of course they do. And you can't have the Irishmen coming out here. There's
they do that every second year. That's the junket for the Irish.
Still one of the greatest ever was the photo taken at Times Square in New York.
when they did training for a game in Dublin in New York and then pretended it wasn't a junket.
And then they played the game some 1,000 miles away from... I think Gillen had tickets to Beauty and the Beast.
That's right. Yeah. So Bruce wrote in, is the Victorian Racing Club, the VRC, planning a Spring Carnival X over the summer with all races run on a rectangle track?
Now that I would like to see. I would like to see thoroughbred horses thundering down the straight and then having to do a 90-degree turn. You reckon they'd be kicking up clobs of dirt? And,
I would
test those jockeys.
I would not give them ideas because they probably will. It's like every sport now has to have its shortened version.
Well, see, but horse racing's got that. You've got your Melbourne Cup over 3.2 kilometres, and then you've got your sprints over 1,000 or 1,200. They've already got the shortened version. So, but I do like the idea of horses having to turn on a sixpence, as they used to say.
Yeah, but you're not a jockey.
No, that's right.
You're not riding them.
I do like them.
Did you watch any of the Caulfield Cup or anything over there?
I watched the Caulfield Cup.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, and I'll be watching the Cox Plate this week, purely to see if Winks can back up again, which he probably will.
Yeah.
But the whole watching it for the whole day on Channel 7 is just a bit too much.
You don't like constant gambling ads with Channel 7 personalities injected every 2 minutes?
No, I don't. or Channel 7 D-list people you've never heard of talking to other D-list people about their dresses or their hats and where they bought them. And
it's the seamless integration of sponsorship all through it.
Oh, it is. I mean, you got to admire them for being so shameless about it.
Oh yeah,
but it's not good viewing. It's not good viewing.
No,
and it was a tough day at the office for most punters anyway, because not too many favourites got up on Saturday.
Yeah, well, it's still hard to lose money though.
True. There weren't many favourites got up, but as is normally the case, your value is in trifectas. And Quinellas, that's where you get your value. That's why no one's ever lost a dollar.
Oh, you never lose money on that. Cody has written in, with cricket season now bearing down on us, how many articles should there be about Sean and Mitch Marsh being in or out of the Ashes?
Oh, God, well, he's right.
That's all it's going to be.
Absolutely spot on. Well,
I think Cody's a bit over it.
I think he is. But
there's a hint in that question of shoot me now.
I think there was a story actually in the Sydney papers over the weekend just talking up Sean Marsh and what a great player he is and always has been.
Yeah, right. Who wrote that? Sean Marsh?
Yeah, probably. Jeff Marsh, I think, wrote it about his own son. But yeah, he's dead right. The Marshes will be copping a fair whack over the next few weeks.
It's going to be interesting. Sean wrote in, with Lindsay Thomas rumoured to be joining Robbie Gray and Chad Wingard at the Power next year, which is rumoured through the pre-season draft, will Port finally have the firepower to beat Geelong at the Australian Diving Championships next year? You know what I like? That's a whack.
It's almost a triple whack.
Yeah, he's just gone bang, bang, bang at everyone, annoying everyone who votes for any of those teams.
Yeah, he's had to go at 3 players, 2 clubs.
I would say North used to be the diving champions. I would say Geelong are more the ducking champions, not so much diving.
Yeah, you're right.
I know they're sort of similar, but...
Yeah, but Geelong, you've almost got to admire the fact that they do it skillfully. They drop the shoulders.
Do we have to admire it?
No, probably not. But you see Joel Selwood... His timing is just immaculate sometimes on when he drops the shoulder to get the high.
Yeah, there's a reason he's led the league in high
tackles,
free kicks for years. Damien Rufus Nolan wrote in, I was in Melbourne this weekend and saw an O-bike that wasn't in a tree or being pulled from a lake. Are these the end of times approaching?
Well, we should point out that, for other cities that don't have the O-bike phenomenon.
Yeah, are they in any other I know they're in overseas. Are they in any other city?
Sure. I think Melbourne was the first cab off the rank.
So these are bikes that they don't have a dock they get locked into.
No.
But they do have sort of a brake on them, so you can't ride them unless you pay on the app.
Yeah, you've got to have the app and an account.
But what it's meant, because they don't have a dock and they're just all over the place, people have been just picking them up. Because you can't ride them, but you can carry a bike.
Yeah.
And throwing them on top of bus shelter-roos and into the Yarra.
Hundreds into the Yarra. See, I reckon this is not the fault of the O-bike company. This just shows what pigs we are, basically, as humans who live in Melbourne. You can get on a bike. It costs you $5. You can drive to the next suburb, to your favourite coffee shop, and a decent person will just leave the bike there for the next.
That's right. They say they don't have these issues in other cities.
No, it wouldn't happen in Singapore.
You can't even chew gum in Singapore without being caned. So there's probably that threat.
Caning. Bring back public caning. That's what I say.
You've long said it. Andrew Byrne wrote in, did you watch the MotoGP? Me neither.
I'll second that, Andrew.
I actually don't mind the MotoGP.
Did you know it was on?
I did. I saw it a bit of it on, and I actually find the MotoGP more interesting to watch than the Formula One.
Yeah,
because they actually overtake each other, and you can actually see the. I'm not saying that Formula One
it's fantastic,
but I'm not saying the Formula One drivers don't have skill; they have immense skill, but you can see the skill more with the MotoGP.
I totally agree that the motorbike racing is a better TV sport, I think. They're both good live, but the MotoGP, the thing about it, I didn't even know it was on until Saturday night, and I thought it wasn't that long ago. This was a big deal in Melbourne with the MotoGP.
Well, there's not remember, when Casey Stoner or Mick Doohan and that, when there's Australians in these things, people get toppers, they get a lot more excited.
But Valentino Rossi's still going around.
Yeah,
he's about 80 now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a
he drives.
He's a scooter.
He drives one of those electric scooters
with
a basket.
He's still really quick though. I'd like to see a sport where you have to ride an O-bike and then throw it in the Yarra at the end. You can throw it the furthest into the Yarra.
That's how they bring back the MotoGP.
Michael Barbaro has written, I see the horse racing has started again. What does wait for age mean again?
Michael. I'm so glad you asked. We get this every week. I can tell you what wait for age is for those who don't know. It's one of the conditions for a race, of a thoroughbred race. It means a horse will carry a set weight in accordance with the weight for age scale. This weight varies depending on the horse's age, its sex, the race distance, and get this, the month of the year.
What does that mean?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're a 3-year-old male horse racing in October, you have to carry a different weight than if you're racing in November, theoretically.
Why?
Because that's what the rules state.
Yeah, but do you know why?
No. I don't know what the rule.
Is it like a seasonal thing?
Yeah, it's a type of handicapping. Now, normally with
right, I got that.
Normally, it's just you get the fastest horse and you put the fat bastard on the back, and the slowest horse you put the smallest jockey. This is now another way they've been doing it. And they've been doing it for years, the old weight for age.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. And if
do you think any podcast has explained weight for age more than you?
No,
this
they
one?
probably only had to explain it once and explain it better.
So it's about weight for age.
Weight for age.
Gee, it's tricky, isn't it?
It is. And Winks will be trying to bat up weight for age 3 in a row this Saturday in the Cox Plate.
Right, well, thanks, Michael, for asking that question again.
Please nobody else ask
This is like the 4th time you've explained weight for age. It's still not as good as your harness racing explanation.
No, I'm not touching harness racing again. There's still
because
there's
you
been
were
a few
really
legal
wrong.
letters that have been exchanged.
A lot of threats. Gavin Howley has written in, and Gavin is a farmer on Twitter. He's written in, harvesting my crops. What do you think the Australian dollar will do in the next few months? And what's the crop in the Black Sea region like?
Can't help you in the Black Sea region.
Oh, you've dropped the ball on the Black Sea region.
Yeah, not, and also the fact that you didn't spell out what kind of crops you're talking about.
I think a lot of it's wheat.
Yeah, it's wheat, is it? Okay, so it's a legal
crop.
I
don't know, but it's a legal crop.
I can suggest to you, Gavin, hopefully...
It's poppies.
The Australian dollar, it's at about 77 cents at the minute.
Yeah, right.
And let's hoping it does drop. I'll be very happy if it does drop.
I'm bullish on Gavin's crops, and I think the Black Sea region, few issues there at the moment.
The fact that if Gavin's an exporter, let's hope that the dollar drops,
Right, good point.
I don't know whether he exports
the weight.
The Black
Is that
Sea.
like weight for age? So you want $1 higher or lower if you're exporting?
It's a bit like the
lower,
price is right, isn't it? Yeah.
Higher,
Larry. Lower.
The Black Sea region's always the one that influences these things to me.
It is. I mean, the Black Sea region. I mean, what are some of the bigger crops out of the Black Sea region? Now, other than, as you say, opium.
But it's a key area. I believe the Black Sea is in South America.
Is that right?
No. But Gavin, good luck with your crops. Doing it tough for our farmers. I just say that all the time.
They always have.
But then I assume there's times they don't. Yeah. But it is working on the land, having occasionally
living out of working on the land.
Yeah, occasionally having to do some manual labour.
Yeah. I mean, it's
tough.
Farmers, I mean, they do work hard, and as you say, it is a tough.
Not as hard as podcasters.
Oh no. You can have your digging ditches. This is
the real hard work.
Carting hay.
But occasionally we have a cable pulled out and the sound doesn't sound as good.
Yeah, and so we have to cop abuse for that. You drop a hay bale in the wrong paddock, nobody cares. We have one loose connection, and
It's so similar, actually.
Yeah.
Now, thank you. We're going to award a winner.
Yeah, we should pick a winner. Who do you reckon?
Well, I actually quite liked... I thought the one that got the best laugh out of you, which is always how I judge it, Digital Watch. Will Jack Watts' urgency under pressure improve after getting carjacked in Alberton? Yeah,
well, let's give it the old Digital Watch. We
haven't
heard from him for a while. And that is good.
And everyone, if you could go on and rate us on iTunes or leave a comment, that's always appreciated in getting the word out. And you can always become a sponsor. If you are free this Sunday and you're in Melbourne, come down at 12 p.m. Your tickets you can buy the Sports Riders Festival. And
you're not the only one on there. It's a pretty good lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of different people. Yeah. It's over a couple of days, and there's some Sydney events too.
Yeah.
So, if you're looking for something to do, that's going to be fun. But I'm on from 12 to 1:30. You can either buy a day pass, which is actually very good value, or you can buy just a specific session. So if you're interested in sports riding, whether you're a fan of it or you actually want to do it, I think it's very good for learning about that stuff. People talk a lot about
and
their
you'll be able to explain at the time what wait for age is.
That's all mine's
just
about.
In time for people to put a bet on.
My whole speech is going to be about wait for age and the futures of the Black Sea market in farming.
And
it's a little off topic from a sports riding festival.
And you'll know Titus. He's the one in the barbecue sauce bottle.
Our new mascot. I hope Master Foods, if they're listening, we're all up for the slightly aggressive sponsorship from the barbecue sauce bottle.
Yeah, I'd happily take it.
I'm all behind that.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, we'll see you later.